Okay, let's get straight to it. We are not talking about politics or what ifs. We're talking about a survival plan. And it's all based on one thing: geography. This is India's nuclear survival map. Look, if the unthinkable happens, you're not going to get a week's notice. You'll have minutes, maybe less. The decision you make in that tiny window of time, well, that's everything. There's no time to figure it out later. In that moment, it doesn't matter who you are, how much money you have, or who you know. None of that matters. The single most important factor, the only thing that will determine if you make it, is your physical location, where you are on the map. So, let's cut right to the chase. This isn't guesswork. It's a guide built on geographical science. We're going to break down exactly where you need to go. And maybe just as important, the places you absolutely cannot afford to be. Right, before we talk about the safe spots, we have to understand the danger zones. The very first step to survival is knowing where the biggest threats are. And that means understanding why our big cities are, unfortunately, the first to fall. Just about every strategic simulation points to the same initial targets. We're talking about these 6 metros right here: Delhi, Mumbai, Kolkata, Chennai, Bengaluru, and Hyderabad. Because of their population, their strategic value, they're ground zero. If you're in one of them, you are in the bullseye. Let's be really clear about what that means. A single 100 kiloton strike, and that's not even a big weapon by modern standards, is expected to cause over 2 million immediate casualties. For anyone near the center of that, it's just not survivable. This chart here really shows you the 2 distinct dangers. Look at that first bar: total destruction. Everything inside a 1.6 kilometer radius is just gone. But now look at that second bar: the silent killer, lethal radioactive fallout that spreads over a 50-kilometer radius, poisoning everything it touches. That's the danger that travels way, way beyond the blast itself. All right, now that we know the threat, let's talk about the solution. There is one geographical feature in India that offers by far the single greatest chance of survival. We call it the Himalayan shield. Let me be as direct as possible. Your number one survival destination is the Himalayas, specifically the remote, high-altitude regions of Leh, Ladakh, Himachal Pradesh, and Uttarakhand. From a purely geographical standpoint, this is the safest place you can possibly be. But why? What's so special about them? It all comes down to a simple principle called physical shielding. The sheer rock mass of these mountains acts like a natural bunker. It's so dense that it can physically absorb and block the 2 most destructive forces: the blinding heat and the supersonic shockwave. And that's not just a cool name, it's physics. The mountains literally function as a shield on a massive continental scale, giving you a natural barrier against the blast. Here's a great way to think about it. We already know the Himalayas act as a massive climate barrier, right? They stop those frigid Central Asian winds from turning North India into a frozen wasteland. Well, in a nuclear scenario, they do the exact same thing, but instead of blocking wind, they block a blast's raw energy and shield you from all that heavy radioactive dust. Now, to really appreciate just how safe the mountains are, we need to look at the complete opposite. We need to talk about the extreme danger of the plains. This slide just lays it out so clearly. On one side, you have the Himalayan shield, blocking the blast and the fallout. And on the other, you have the flat plains of places like UP, Bihar, and Punjab, which offer zero resistance. The shockwave just travels forever, and the heaviest fallout settles right on top of you. It's protection versus total exposure. Just picture it for a second. There is nothing to slow the energy down. On flat, open land, that shockwave and the heat can travel for hundreds and hundreds of miles, and they barely lose any of their destructive power. The Indo-Gangetic Plain is, frankly, a geographical death trap in this kind of scenario. But listen, I get it. What if you can't get to the Himalayas? For millions of people, that's just an impossible journey. The good news is, there are other options that work on the same basic principle. So your next best bets are these other remote, rugged parts of the country. You want to look for the interior, hilly parts of the Western Ghats and the Nilgiris, the really dense highlands of central India, or the most remote forested parts of the Northeast. The key is they are far from targets and give you some natural protection. You see, the strategy here is exactly the same. If you can't get that physical shielding from giant mountains, you go for what we call terrain shielding. The idea is to use dense forests, rolling hills, and rugged landscapes to put as much physical mass as you can between you and any potential target. But what if you can't get out? What if you are trapped in a city when the warning finally comes? There is still a plan. It's a last resort for sure, but it can work. Your goal boils down to one simple rule: density equals safety. The more concrete, steel, and earth you can put between yourself and the outside, the better your chances are. Simple as that. So here it is, your 4-step plan. Step 1, get deep underground. Think deep metro stations, multi-level parking garages. Step 2, find concrete and earth. Windowless rooms deep inside a building, tunnels, underpasses.
Step 3, seal it up. After the shockwave passes, you have to block every gap to keep that radioactive dust out. And step 4, the hardest part, wait. Wait for 72 hours. The radiation is at its absolute worst in the first 3 days. Do not go outside.
If you remember nothing else, remember this. Your survival mantra is inland and uphill. Get away from the coasts, get away from the flat plains, head towards the highest, most remote ground you can find. That is the core of this entire strategy. So, we've laid out the geography of survival. We've talked about the best-case scenario and the last-ditch effort. The information isn't a hypothetical anymore. Now you have the plan. The only question left is, what's your next move?